particular focus here is going to be on bottle bioassays. So if we go to the resistance module, there's a couple of different things you can do here. We're really going to focus on bottle bioassays as they are the most common way to test adult mosquitoes for resistance. So if you're not familiar and you don't do these in your district yet, bottle bioassays are made by CDC and they involve adding mosquitoes to a bottle with a technical grade product. Usually, sometimes you will have a field product in there. You'll wait a certain amount of time and then record how long it takes for mosquitoes to be knocked down. So if they are knocked down quickly, that pesticide or insecticide is working. If they aren't knocked down, you may have some resistance. So they're a good indicator of your mosquitoes in your region and what they may be resistant to so that we can use the correct insecticides to get the knockdowns that we want. So when we go into the gateway, let me make this bigger and zoom in a bit for recording purposes. So if we want to click a new bottle bioassay. So when we add a bottle bioassay, we want to give this a name that makes sense to us. So it can be, what are we testing? Oops, sorry. Oh, I didn't even see your note about making the screen bigger, so glad that worked. So we can add, maybe we're testing Culex tarsalis. These are from, I'm in Davis right now. Maybe I can say Davis Vet Campus where I'm sitting right now. And the date today, or I can just say April 2023, maybe. So I will put the date. And then this material is what are you testing in your bottle bioassay? Let's say we're testing permethrin. You can see that not all of these other fields are required. They're good to use if you have them. So you can always look back on your data and compare it. If you use the synergist, you can add that here. Again, you can add information about the dose, lot number. Here we would add control mortality. Usually it will be 0, but sometimes you'll have just some mortality in your control tubes. And if you put a number here, that'll just allow you to statistically adjust for it later. So I'm going to put 0 because that usually will be what you have. I'll say I'm the one testing this. You can add any sort of description. This is just a free text field for you. Whatever about this test that you want to capture for your data. I'll leave it blank for now. And then our test defaults. So these are set to the default standard, I think set by the CDC. You can change these if that is what your agency uses. But I think most people use this standard 25 mosquitoes and measuring knockdown every 15 minutes for 12 intervals. So great, we have created our bottle bioassay, and now we need to create a place where we can actually record our data. So in there, we're going to add our test species. In here, we can just start typing. We can have a drop down and try to search for what we're looking for. Otherwise, we can just start typing, say I'm interested in tarsalis, as I said I was testing here. And let's say, oh, I just went out and caught these in the field. You can give it a name if you would like. So I'll just say Davis Vet Campus. Probably doesn't need to be capitalized, but that's okay. You'll put the generation number. So if you went out and caught adult mosquitoes and you brought them into the lab for testing immediately, those would be F0 generation from the field. If we went out and we caught, collected eggs and reared them into adults, I guess that would still be an F0. But if we were to rear them for a generation in the lab, we can change that. If we let them lay eggs and then use the offspring, those would be F1. Great. So we'll just say F0, I went out, set a trap, and I caught a bunch of tarsalis, and I'm going to test them now in the lab. We can search for the location of our traps. So I can, let's see if this Davis veterinary medicine. I'll just put it there, that's fine. We'll say, you know, this is actually in this, I don't know where we would go, maybe here. So we can switch to satellite and see that there's a green area here. Maybe we just set out our trap there. So that's going to be our location. And then we can start adding our data from our bottle bioassays. So as we saw earlier, our standard starting count will be 25 for each replicate. This is able to change. We know that sometimes when you collect field mosquitoes, you won't have exactly 25 in each file. That's okay. We can change that here. And then we have what we preset earlier with our time points every 15 minutes. We can add replicates here. Generally, you're going to do more than one. So let's say we're doing 3 replicates, or I added and made too many. We can delete that one. Just go to 2. This should be familiar to you if you do bottle bioassays. We will just start counting every 15 minutes what's happening in our test species. So let's say, you know, at the beginning at 0 minutes, they're all alive. When I type that in, it's going to automatically calculate from this number up here what's in the other column. So you can choose to put dead or alive. Probably easier to put dead as they start getting knocked down. So let's say at 15 minutes we had 3. By this time we had 11 mosquitoes knocked down. You could laugh at me. I've never done a bottle bioassay myself, so these could be wild numbers. Not really sure. Let's say they all knocked down by an hour. Unfortunately, in our system, we do have to go put zeros in. Oh, sorry. They're not all alive suddenly. In the rest of here, or else it'll give us an error that we can't save. So you want to be able to fill out that full chart. We would do the same for any other replicates here. For these purposes, I'm just going to delete that replicate and say we're doing 1. Often when you are doing a bottle bioassay, you're going to want to compare it to a susceptible colony that you have in the lab to make sure that your products are working as expected. So that's here we can add another test species. So again, this can be from your lab. This can be another field species if you're doing multiple at the same time, whatever works best for you and your agency. So let's say this is Tarsalis, and this one is actually a colony, and we're just going to call it susceptible. And so we would do the same thing here, just add our numbers, you know, whatever. Let's just say they all died right away. Oh, that wouldn't make sense. Maybe at 15 minutes, they're all dead. And then we want to go down and add zeros in the rest here so that we can save it. So great. So we have in here, we've done our fields, collected mosquitoes in our replicate here, our colony susceptible, and then we can go and add this bottle bioassay. I do want to point out at this time that I'm working in the sandbox, and there's a video on that from last week if you weren't able to join, but basically the sandbox is our play environment that gets reset every week. So anything I'm doing right now is not actually getting populated to anybody. And so I'm actually operating within the Sacramento YOLO Mosquito Control District's gateway. Thanks to them for being very generous and sharing the ability to use their data for this training. But as I'm adding this bottle bioassay, which obviously isn't a real one, since I'm in the sandbox, it's not going to send it to SAC YOLO and say, you know, you did this. It's not going to show up in their actual gateway as a data point. So let's go in and add that bottle bioassay. Hope an unexpected error has occurred. Unsure why. That could just be error on my end. Not. Anyway, I don't think that that's something to worry about. So it's been saved. We can go through and just like in all the other modules, there's ways to create new things and then also manage what we have existing. So If we go to 2023, we can see the one I just created. If we go to other years, we can see, Saculo had done a bunch of their own bottle bioassays in 2021. There is a bottle bioassay calculator, which we will review when we talk about the tools later today.